All right, hello everybody. Welcome to You'll Like 'Em, the podcast where we talk about music, give out recommendations each time we have an episode, and just talk about an array of other bullshit as well. This week we do not have Yaskovic. He's been very busy recently. My computer's yelling at me to do a restart, so let's tell it to fuck off. He's been really busy this week, so we have a guest this week. Two guests, in fact, and that is right next to me, to my left, would be
the more handsome brother.
You bastard! Do you want the little windbreaker thing?
The pop filter?
The pop filter,
not?
yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Okay. Well, that's my brother. That's my brother Euan. You might have heard a lot about him on the show in the past, or just heard passing mention of him. He was down when Liam and I got down here to record, and we just asked him if he wanted to join, and I just gave away my other guest.
Yeah, I'm Liam Wallace. I am a sound engineer, co-creator, and co-host of the show Friends by Default, and I'm happy to be here to give out my recommendations for music and be with my best friend on this show.
Hey, does that work for you?
Yeah, that works fine.
Okay, cool.
Sounds good.
So first, whenever we start the episode, and for those of you who don't listen normally, maybe just came over for Liam or Euan, maybe, I don't know.
Nope. The one person.
Yeah, you don't know. You could have fans.
Well, I was writing music before you cut me off, so
yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're unfortunately we didn't pick that up on the mic. So when we do the show, we usually just talk about stuff, random stuff to begin with, and then kind of find out maybe a topic or something in there to talk about, and then we go into the recommendations and just kind of tell about what bands we want to talk about on the show. So how have you guys been?
Yeah, fuck it. I've been all right. Starting to appreciate the things I have more than the things I don't have, which is nice. Been blown off for dates more times than I can count in the past year, which sucks.
Yeah.
Sure. I'm not allowed to talk about personal things on Friends by Default, so I'm going to do it here.
On the music podcast.
On the music podcast. But the past week I saw Christopher Robin twice, and that made me feel so goddamn good inside.
Yeah.
And it made me think, oh, I've got good friends. I got good family.
Yeah.
I'm in a good place.
It's a very cute movie. And we talked about it on Friends, the mini episode we just did for Friends by Default, which will probably come out before this one does.
Mm-hmm. Comes out tonight.
Oh, well, okay then. So yeah, the mini episode we just did of Friends by Default, we talked a bit about that. But it's a really cute movie, and I think it's more directed at our age group, like the late teens, early 20s people who are like starting to go on in life and go like, all right, I need to think about my career. And then it's also saying like, but don't forget your family and your friends, you know, kind of be young at heart. You don't have to be like a serious like Nazi with everything all the time. So.
Yeah, there's always time for play.
Yeah, exactly. And
chill.
It's a really, really nice movie.
As Pooh Bear said, doing nothing leads to the very best of something.
Yeah.
And it's got another Euan, so like I'll go support it.
Ewan McGregor, who is fantastic.
Yeah,
Ewan
McGregor's good in it. And the woman who plays his wife, I'd say Haley Atwell, she was good too. Even the kid was good.
Yeah, she was very good.
She looked like Mara Wilson.
I don't know who that is.
The girl who played Matilda in Matilda.
Oh, yeah,
and
right, you were talking about that.
Yeah.
She's like in 3 episodes of the new BoJack Horseman season.
Is she?
Yeah. I forgot she played like the Spider Lady or something.
Oh,
like that.
yeah. No, that was the last season then.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was season 3 then.
Yeah, I forget.
I don't keep up with BoJack anymore.
Yeah, Liam's lost interest in BoJack. It's got too sad for him.
Yeah, and that's me saying that. Like, they try to be sad, so I'm just kind of like, all right, guys, I get it. You're edgy. Just calm the fuck down. Give me some jokes.
I just like Will Arnett.
Will Arnett's great.
Speaking of Will Arnett.
Speaking of Will Arnett, I know what you're going to bring up.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
Teen Titans Go to the movies.
Oh, yeah.
It was amazeballs.
It was so good. Like, I'm not kidding. You know, I love the original Teen Titans, and a lot of people do. And I was kind of wary about the show, and I've watched some of the episodes of the show, and I've laughed. And then I've watched other episodes, and I've been like, But the movie was hysterical. It's like they took all the best jokes, they could have put in these episodes where I've been like, these jokes are all right, and then saved them for the movie and put them in the movie. The movie is super funny. It's so funny. Like it's a lot of dark humor in there, and then a lot of stupid slapstick and fart humor for the kids. But like the adults get something in there too.
You were talking about the thing with where Wayne's parents,
Yeah,
Wayne's parents get murdered.
Yeah, there's a scene in it where the Titans go back and they're trying to stop superheroes from being created, because this director who's doing a lot of superhero movies told them that she would only do a superhero movie with them if there were no other superheroes. So they go, well, if we stop all these superheroes from being superheroes,
Yeah, like ruining their origin stories.
yeah, like messing with their origins, like we'll be the only superheroes left. And so it's not going on like real rules, because they all would have kind of disappeared, I'm sure. But they go back in time, like they save Krypton, they fuck with
They save Krypton with dubstep. By the way.
they save Krypton with they harmonize the crystals of Krypton by using dubstep. And then they like, Bruce Wayne's parents are like, no, don't go down crime alley, go down happy time alley. And so like they go down there, and then like they go back to the present, everything's a shithole.
Hold on, one of the favorite ones that like they ruined, like this made me laugh so hard, is Aquaman. They were sitting on a
Whales!
No, yeah, they were sitting on a dock drinking soda, and then they threw the 6-pack holder into the water, and Aquaman gets caught up into it.
That's fantastic.
And then they go back to the future, and they're like, oh shit, like everything's terrible because there's no superheroes. All right, back we go. So they destroy Krypton. They give Wonder Woman her lasso back. They free Aquaman from the 6-pack holder, and then they go back to like Gotham. They put a pearl necklace around Mrs. Wayne's neck, and they throw her in the parents in the alley. You just see 2 flashes and 2 gunshots. And we're just like, holy shit!
Lost it at that point.
We're like, oh my god!
It's fucking bleak as shit, man.
Yeah, it was, oh my god, it was so funny. And that's and like I like it when kids movies and family movies have those kind of jokes in for the adults, that the kids will be like, I don't get that, and the adults are like with Christopher Robin, everything that Eeyore said.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Eeyore was just like always the depressed one, and then he's floating down the river, and in that moment I was like, oh my god, Eeyore tried to kill himself in the books. And then like he's floating down the river, and he's and Christopher Robin's like, Eeyore, it's me, it's Christopher Robin. And he's like, just let me die.
Basically, yeah.
Like he's like,
hello, Heffalump.
yeah, he's like the river's the waterfall's coming up, just let me go.
Oh my
And then
god.
like I forget what was the scene where he goes like, please help me.
Yeah, that's exactly. Christopher Robin has Eeyore, and he's talking to the other friends from the 100 Acre Woods, and he's trying to convince them that he's not a Heffalump, he's Christopher Robin.
Yeah.
And they're all going back and forth, being like, oh, he's a Heffalump. Look at his nose. Look at it. It's so long. He's so hideous. Look at it. He's got hair everywhere. And then it just cuts to Eeyore. He gets his eyes real wide and goes, help me.
Like, it's just like a split second.
Oh, it
It's
was
almost like
great.
subliminal messaging. Like, it's like, it's a Heffalump. Help me. Oh, my God.
Like one of those like split second frame
Almost
things.
like like an IT crowd where they put the naked picture of him in
of Douglas.
and the thing. He was in it. I told you that, right?
Yeah, he was a police officer.
One of the guys I talked about on the show, Matt Berry, who's been in the IT crowd, Snuffbox. He's been in the Mighty Boosh. He's been in lots of stuff. He had a 2-second cameo in this movie, and it was great. It was they all like, these people see like the toys move, and they're like, this guy's like, the toys are moving, like he's a taxi driver, and he crashes into this guy's car, and it's the guy from The Office and Pirates of the Caribbean with the wooden eye, and he's like, oh great, yeah, okay, the dolls are moving, and then the policeman comes over. It's Matt Berry from IT crowd and that, and he's like, all right there, what's going on? And then like the girl runs away with the like the stuffed animals, and they like Tigger's talks or something.
Pooh looks back and goes, thank you, officer. And they all just go like, what the fuck?
And then the taxi driver, you saw it? And he's like, I didn't see anything. You didn't see anything. It's great. It's a really funny movie as well
bother.
as being really sweet. So we saw a lot of movies recently. 'Cause we saw Christopher Robin, we saw Teen Titans, and we saw the other one.
Mission Impossible.
We saw Mission Impossible.
You saw Mission. I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Ewan and I saw Mission
We
Impossible.
saw Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
I genuinely I thought it was all right.
I didn't think it was as good as the last one.
There was too much filler, but the action scenes were fantastic. That was my opinion.
a lot of the action scenes were not CGI. Like the Halo jump.
Yeah,
that was filmed.
I figured that because because Tom Cruise is a fucking nutcase.
Yeah.
He's got a death wish.
Poor Henry Cavill having to go down with it.
I
wonder if that even was him, but
I think he's just trying to get out of Scientology. I think that's
he's just trying to kill himself. He's trying to do all these dangerous stunts. He's like, please, God.
I wouldn't be surprised when he's on the helicopter and he fucking falls off the helicopter and catches himself on the the bomb thing. I wouldn't be surprised if that wasn't scripted.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Scientology is scary, dude. Like,
oh my God, yeah. So who was it we were watching? Someone talking about Scientology, and it was like the only reason Scientology is a religion is because they have L. Ron Hubbard.
Joe Rogan.
Yeah, Joe Rogan is like the only reason it's a religion is because L. Ron Hubbard
is dead.
is dead. So they have a religious figure who they look up to. It's a cult, but just the leader dies, then it's a religion.
I mean, watch the HBO documentary. It might be off the air now because they got sued out the asshole by Scientologists.
I'm sure you can find. I'm sure you could probably find Going Clear. Like,
yeah, but it's called Going Clear. It's really terrifying. And there's a book called Going Clear that I read half of, but I couldn't finish because it was the worst horror story I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
It made me want to shit my pants. I thought, what's his name? It's not David Duke. It's
Oh, I know who you're talking about. The guy who's like in charge of it now.
yeah, who's like 5 foot tall
and killed his wife.
Yeah. I always like. And this isn't like I watched it when I was a kid. This is me watching it when I'm 21 years old. I thought this motherfucker was outside my window watching me because I didn't like Scientology, so he was gonna kill me.
Yeah. But you heard about that guy? Like the guy who I'm gonna look up, who's in charge of it now? David Miscavige, yeah. I was going to say miscarriage, and I was like, that's not right.
And it's not like I feel sorry for the
Look at that.
He is an evil man.
That is just evil.
That's like
incarnate.
Do you remember Supernatural, right? Do you remember the whole story arc with, I forget the guy's name, but like Dick Roman, it was his name. That's what he looks like.
Yeah,
he looks like the head of a CEO is actually a demon and is going to enslave everybody. That's what he is. That's what David Miscavige is. And his wife has not been seen since when?
Oh, I don't know, but it's been a long time.
Yeah, and they're just like, she doesn't like the to be in the spotlight. She's fucking dead.
Like,
probably.
Dude, if you're in Scientology, I'm not against you. They have a great way of roping in artists, but at the same time, I feel bad for anyone in Scientology, and the people that run it are just evil.
Yeah.
Like, they have a prison camp in LA.
And that the way they do like musical chairs is like torture and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's like some weird shit. Like they make you sleep on the roof and stuff.
Well, I mean, that's what like at Guantanamo they do like seemingly like bizarre like things to get torture. Like they would play music on repeat, the same song over and over and over again. And like, I mean, I've seen some of the stuff, and like some of the stuff's pretty torturous. But
locked in a box with babies crying.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fucking
thank
brutal.
you.
Yeah, but Scientology's fucked. It's completely fucked. But you know what sucks about Scientology? They have a lot of people attached to it, and you look at them and you go, why?
That's because once you're in, you're not out, and a lot of them are in through family.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Like I think Beck.
I was about to say, isn't Beck?
He's in through family, and like it's that kind of thing where you're like, I want to leave, and they're like, really? Because if you leave, we're gonna release these naked pictures of you and tell everyone you're a pedophile.
Oh God. I mean, I'd like to think. Well, no, they have like connections that they could release it and make it look legitimate. Because I was gonna say, if Scientology came out and was like, oh yeah, Conor Harris used to be a member, now he's a pedophile, I think people would be like, okay,
yeah,
right.
It's gotten to that point. But also what they do is they harass you, like
Paul Haggis.
Paul Haggis. he's been harassed all his life by Scientologists.
And they throw eggs at his house and stuff like that.
Fuck.
Just small things, but like it's
They add up.
Scientology, and
Death
you're
by
like,
1,000 cuts.
you're like, oh my god, like they still know where I am. Like it terrifies you. And like I see like there's lots of jazz and like fucking American musicians who I find out are Scientologists because like L. Ron Hubbard was was a sci-fi writer, and they were just like, oh yeah, sci-fi's cool. And then this guy's like, hey, I'm kind of having my own kind of thing over here, and they were like, oh man, righteous. And they would go in and then fucking become brainwashed. But like do you know Return to Forever?
Yeah,
Alvin Miola's band?
he's a big Scientologist.
Yeah, Chick
isn't he?
Corea is a huge Scientologist.
Yeah, which
this
is a
the
fucking
keyboardist
shame.
for this
Well, it's
jazz
not-
band.
I wouldn't blame them. Don't blame
Yeah.
the people that are the Scientologists. Blame the people running it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
He dedicated an album
to L.
to L. Ron
Hubbard.
Hubbard.
different.
Yeah. So that's what I'm like, where does
Exactly.
it? Because the keyboardist is still a member, I believe. Chick Corea is still a member. If he's not, then he's not, and good. But the bassist Stanley Clark used to be a member, and he's no longer a member. Like he left, like he got out, and like these people that like managed to get out, I'm like, my god, I can't. Like there's people in there who
It's
are
hard.
so far
It's
in there.
hard.
Like, do you think Tom Cruise and John Travolta are still is John Travolta a Scientologist?
Yes.
I think so.
Okay,
yeah.
are they still both Scientologists just because people think that they're both gay and that Scientologists?
I think
would be
Tom
like,
Cruise is an active member because he does do like the rallies and shit. I think John Travolta, they got him by the balls.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's okay. Well, that's not okay, but I mean, Tom Cruise I don't care about, and John Travolta, I still kind of have a soft spot for John Travolta because he's been in some stuff I like. And he's not the worst actor in the world. Like Tom Cruise is
insane.
closer to.
Not a great singer,
He's crazy. He's a fucking horrendous singer.
Absolutely.
Who the fuck thought to put him in Greece?
Nah.
It's what's the one at the Strand at Drive-In? Sandy. I know it's fucking Frankie Valli, like because it's 50s and stuff. But I hate Frankie Valli. I hate his fucking stupid voice. Sherry. Sherry.
I mean-
baby. Oh.
But like, there were far better singers in the 50s than that shit.
Oh yeah, you got fucking Sam Cooke, who gives me like chills every time I hear his voice.
Beach Boys and
I don't
rock.
think Brian Wilson's a good singer either, because
Well, but-
I don't like that weedy falsetto that they do. Although I do. Here's my thing about the Beach Boys. I like the Beach Boys. I respect them
highly
because
influential.
they're very influential. They're the I don't remember who came first. I think they kind of showed up around the same time and kind of took off around the same time. But the Beatles are the British Beach Boys, and the Beach Boys are the American Beatles. That's as far as influence and stuff like that goes. Those two groups, songwriting stuff. Because Lennon, was kind of had a playful rivalry with Brian Wilson, and Brian Wilson loved the Beatles. They really appreciated each other's music. Like they both were like, this is fucking great. Like John Lennon was so jealous of Good Vibrations when it came out, he countered with, or was it the other way around? What did Good Vibrations come out before Day in a Life? Because Day in a Life 67. I'm trying to remember what Good Vibrations was.
I don't know.
I can look it up.
Because one was released first. I'm pretty sure Good Vibrations was released first, and John Lennon was like, that's a pocket symphony he has right there. So then he recorded Day in a Life as like a fucking comeback almost.
Hell of a one-up, eh?
66.
66 was Good
Good
Vibrations.
Vibrations.
Okay.
So yeah, it was
Yeah.
Good Vibrations came out, and John Lennon was like, well, I'm going to make something better.
I love it.
And I love Good Vibrations. Good Vibrations is a hell of a song, but Day in a Life is just...
Have you heard the story? The reason that Paul McCartney wrote Helter Skelter was because Pete Townsend was like, I've got the dirtiest, filthiest, heaviest guitar song I've ever written. It's the heaviest song in the world. There's no songs that have been heavier than that. He's like, oh, is that right?
What song was it?
I don't fucking know. It was probably even My Generation or something along the lines of that.
My Generation's a fucking slapping song.
Yeah, but
The fuck is a slapping song?
It's fucking great. It slaps. That's a thing the young kids say. I'm trying to be relevant.
Is that
man.
new? I've never heard that in my life.
relevant, Liam.
I've never. He dabbed. Ladies and gentlemen, Connor just dabbed. We're done. The show is over. Go home.
Goodbye, everyone. See ya.
Gucci.
We've revoked Connor's license to be a podcaster.
Yeah, now it's just me and Euan. We're gonna talk about bands.
I
now.
might die.
Oh man.
Oh my god. That was those were references to 8th Grade, the movie, the Bob Burnham movie.
That you didn't like.
I didn't like it.
I didn't like it either.
I haven't seen it, so I can't. But I love Bo Burnham. You know.
It's not Bo. It's not Bo.
Liam
yo.
loves Bob Burnham too. Like
It's. He was jacking himself off the whole time he was making it. It thinks it's so smart, and it just thinks it's so like, oh, the internet is bad and 8th grade life is hard, and there's so much cringe humor.
the thing that pissed me off the most about it is, and it's probably the audience's fault, and that's maybe why I walked out. But it was, you're watching this young girl who's an awkward 8th grader. She doesn't really have any friends. She doesn't really talk to people, and she does a fucking like vlog on like uploads it to YouTube,
Which we all did something like that in middle school.
Yeah. I didn't do anything like that in middle school. I just like wrote my musicians list, and I was like, I will be cool one day.
Well, no, didn't you do covers?
Not in 8th grade. I did it in high school.
Oh, okay. Well,
I did that in high school, and those will fucking die.
Yeah,
with
like-
every computer I have.
I did
There will be
comedy
stuff
videos.
left on it, and it will never fucking arise again. But the thing was about the movie was that I felt like too much of the humor was coming from, look how awkward this girl is. Ah! Like there's a part where she's talking to two like popular girls, and they're on their phones the whole time, texting and like not paying attention to her, and she's like trying to be like, thanks for inviting me to your party, like I really had a good time, and they're like, and they're like, she's like, well, maybe another time we can get together and we can all kind of hang, and they just ignore her. She's like, okay, well, good talk, guys, I'm just gonna leave, and people in the audience like, and I'm like, this is not funny. I'm angry. You're taking enjoyment of this.
Yeah.
This is not funny. And that's probably what like made me want to leave, is because people were laughing, and I was like, I relate on so many levels to this young girl here, and seeing it is making me relive all these horrible, embarrassing memories, and then having people laugh at it is like, I felt like people were laughing at me. And I'm sorry, Bo, if that's not what you were going for, then that's just how it was in the theater. That's why I didn't enjoy it, and I just, because of that, like the whole experience was ruined for me. And maybe I'll watch it in the future and be like, it's not terrible. But is it 98% on Rotten Tomatoes? Fuck off.
And Christopher Robin's at 68.
Yeah. Fucking Amadeus isn't even like a 98. What the fuck is Amadeus? If Amadeus is anything less than 100, I'm going to be fucking pissed. Let me look that up.
But the movie, it first off, I hate coming
94!
Oh my
What
god,
the
I'm talking.
fuck? Come on.
Sorry.
That's nothing.
I typed in Amadeus and it showed up and was like 94 on Rotten Tomatoes. Amadeus is better than this. It's a completely different kind of movie, but it's better.
This show is so much louder than my show. Like, there's so much yelling. I like it. It's different. I feel an energy. It's nice.
Are you telling me, Liam, that you'll like him?
I'll like them. I'll like the shit out of them.
All right. Sorry for interrupting. You can continue.
Quiet hour.
Oh yeah. Anyway, for 8th grade, first off, I don't like coming of age stories.
Yeah.
That I never find them relatable, and if I do, they're too relatable, and it makes me sad.
Mm-hmm.
And they're very overdone as well.
Yes, this one was too relatable, and I found it sad, and just made the first half of the movie made me sad, and then they started getting into the cringe humor. I hate cringe humor. I cannot watch The Office. I can't watch Parks and Rec, shit like that. I hate the feeling of cringe. It just makes me cringe, and I don't like that.
Cringe is better used in like horrors or suspense films or stuff like that, where you're like, oh no, don't do that, or you're like, oh, like your face is all screwed up. I don't like that in comedy.
Yeah.
No.
But they had the scene that me and him walked out on. she offered a boy a blowjob, and she's 13, and then she's looking up all these videos.
I think she was to be 15 because she was in
8th
14 maybe
13.
Yeah,
My
13
sister
going
just
into
got out
14.
of
Probably
8th grade.
13 to 14. Yeah, that's true.
But it was just this young girl that typed in how to give a blowjob in YouTube, and she was watching a video of it, and it just... And Connor's face right now is cringing, and mine's cringing. Me and him were like balled up in our chairs, like, oh my God. And at the end of the scene, she grabs a banana, and that's the last thing I remember. And then he looks over at me, and he's like, you got cigarettes? And I'm like, we can buy some. And then we just bolted.
Yeah, well, like I've never left a theater faster. I walked out of the Emoji film. I like speed walked out of 8th grade. Like, it just wasn't for me. Like, and I don't want people to think that I'm saying it's a bad movie. I just didn't like it.
Yeah.
I just didn't like it. I'm sure, like everyone else that we were with that night, there was 12 of us.
Was there?
11 of us. Because there was the 2 other people that Josh brought. Not Josh from this show.
Oh, right.
I know too many Joshes. But he brought 2 other people, so there was 9 in a row, and then so yeah, 11. So 11 people went, and 9 people liked it, as far as I know. We were the only 2 that didn't like it.
Yeah.
So
No, I don't know. What's his face didn't like it? The big tall guy?
Ian's weird. I don't know what to tell you. Ian's kind of a troll. Ian's one of those people that, like, if people like something, he'll be like, you liked it? I thought it was fucking terrible. Yeah, that was so bad. And then when people are like, yeah, Detroit's a bad game, he's like, what? Detroit's my favorite game of the year, man. And I'm just like, Ian,
Is Detroit a bad game?
It's not
it's not a
terrible
terrible game. It's not a good game either, though.
yeah.
Oh, that bums
David
me out.
Where is
Cage.
it? It's around here. I think it's in my room.
I think it's upstairs.
Yeah. I need to give it to Bowen.
Sell it.
Because he asked me if he could play it, and I was like, yeah, you can play it. I was like, I'll let you borrow it. And then Will, who has like the longer hair, the guy with the longer hair, he well, he doesn't have long hair, I don't think. But anyway, he was like, I'll buy it off of you, and I'm like, I have a line of people who want it, so.
Well, it must not be that bad then.
Yeah. Well, no, it's because no one wants to buy it.
Yeah.
It's because everybody is like, I kind of want to play it, but I don't want to spend money on it. And I'm like, well,
Especially
made
not
that
$60
sacrifice.
since it's getting like so scores, and people are just kind of like, it's all right.
Yeah, but it's like there's two crowds. There's either the crowd that think it's the greatest fucking achievement in video game history, or there's people who are like, it kind of sucks. It's one extreme or the other, really. I can't watch YMS play it. YMS has been playing it. I can't watch him play it.
Because he just doesn't take it seriously.
Because he just doesn't take it seriously.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I get it, because I'm like, it's David Cage. It's a fucking joke. But like, he's like, why did this happen? Why did this happen? And I'm like, because you did this, you dick. And I'm watching it, and I'm like, oh man, you know, Adam, I love your videos, but fuck's sakes, fucking play the game right. Right, so we're at half an hour. You guys want to talk about
Already?
the music? I know, it's great, isn't it?
Yeah, time flies, man.
Yeah. So it's good. We'll probably maybe go a little bit longer in this episode because there's 3 of us talking about stuff. I'm gonna let you guys go first, and I'm gonna close out with mine because I need to pick someone to talk about today. So let's go with Liam first, because I know Liam's been itching to talk about this.
I've been
for
itching.
ages.
When I was playing, he immediately just goes, "Listen to these people."
I was.
And I'm
I
like,
was like,
I'm
hey,
in the middle
you.
of I'm in the middle of playing something right now.
All right, so yeah, the band I want to talk about, and I'm not a music person, so I'm not gonna get as deep into it as Euan and Connor probably will with their bands. But Foxing is such a good band. Their genre, I don't know how to explain it. Like what it's called online is like indie emo or something like that. But it's not like Black Veil Brides or like the people that wear makeup. They all look normal, and they're all like normal guys. But
I would say more indie rock, like indie. I wouldn't say emo, math rock maybe. There's a little complexity in there.
yeah, but
and then
I mean they are super emotional.
Yeah, but like when I think
And,
emo,
like-
I think like you said, Black Veil Brides and
But if we
hate my mom.
yeah, but if we're talking about like the core of like what emo means, which it's short for emotional, they fit the bill. I mean, they're very emotional. Their first 2 albums are very kind of chill, sad at times. There's one song called Glass Coughs that I believe is about abortion, which it's got some pretty heavy lyrics in it. It's really good. There are 3 albums, or 2, and one's unreleased. The first one is called The Albatross, which it's good, very experimental, a lot of violin and trumpet.
Okay.
There's
musicians and albatrosses.
Yeah, right?
It's the Rime of the Ancient Mariner. You guys know that?
No.
It's the story about the guy who's like on a fucking ship, and then they're getting lost at sea, and then these guys go, "Oh, look, that albatross is flying through this storm. It knows where to go." So they follow the albatross, and they're like, "Oh, yay, this albatross saves us." And then this mariner just fucking goes whoop and like shoots it down. They're like, "What the fuck?" He's like, "We're hungry," and he's like, "That's bad omen. That's a fucking bad omen." And then all this bad shit starts happening. So they put the albatross around his neck.
Yeah.
To try and ward away the bad luck, and eventually everybody dies except for him. And then there's the Iron Maiden song about it. Hear the rime of the ancient mariner. It's a great song. It's like 13 minutes long, and there's like great bass parts in it because Steve Harris is a bass god. But yeah, that's where it comes from. Like the albatross, like Peter Green, and stuff like that. That's all influenced by that.
Pink Floyd.
Yeah, the albatross is motionless upon the air, and I'm sure Foxing.
Yeah,
know that.
And their first album, there's a lot of harsh lyrics. You can tell they got their influences from a lot of like heavier pop punk bands and hardcore bands. Their second album, Dealer, is my favorite so far. It's got this song Eiffel on it that's helped me through a lot of hard times. I'd hate to be that guy. I'd be like, Foxing saved my life, and I don't want to say they've saved my life, but they've made it a lot better.
Yeah, that's me and Peter Gabriel. I understand what you mean. Like, it's not like you were up on the edge, and then you were listening to it, and it was like, "Don't give up," and you were like, "I won't give up," and you got down, and you went on your date. No, you hear it, and you're like, "Yeah,
this is better."
I feel a little better.
Yeah. That's what Peter Gabriel's music does for me. So.
But yeah, Conor Murphy, the lead singer, has. I don't know who writes what. I mean, I love Foxing. They're not my favorite band, and I'm not like a crazy fan, as in like I don't have all their EPs and stuff and shit like that. But whoever writes the lyrics, and I do believe it's Conor Murphy, is fantastic. Mm-hmm. They have fantastic lyrics. He's also a fantastic actor. They have 2 music videos. One's called Night Channels, and the other's called Slapstick. Mm-hmm. And he does such a great job in both of them. In Night Channels, which is also a great song. It's off Dealer. Mm-hmm. He plays the friend of this couple, and it turns out it's actually a love triangle, and he is the dude in the couple is cheating on his girlfriend with Conor Murphy.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, and by the end of it's like a 15-minute long music video. It's like one of those artsy ones where the music's cut up and shit. Mm-hmm. I'll show it to you after we record.
Okay.
But at the end of the music video, he hands her a letter, and she does this scene where she's dancing on stage after she read the letter. It's obviously about him being her boyfriend's lover, and it's just really poignant and good. Mm-hmm. And their third album, which releases August 10th, which I don't know when this is coming out, but if you want this album, I recommend getting it. They have 3 singles off of it called
it might be released it might go up on the 10th if
I can
get
cool.
If I can get it edited in time. 10th or 11th.
But they have 3 singles out right now: Slapstick, Nearer My God, and Game Shark. Good old Game Shark. And they're all fantastic.
Yeah.
Slapstick is very much their normal MO, and it really pleased their older fans. Near My God, it was kind of like, all right, this is a little more upbeat than what they usually do. It's the same kind of lyrics. I can still tell, like, when I was first listening to it, I immediately texted Connor and was, like, panicking. And I'm like, dude, I don't think the new Foxing songs are Conor Murphy.
Yeah.
And he's like, maybe they're singing in a different register. I'm like, I fucking hope, like, because I can't lose Conor Murphy. and that's what it is. He's kind of singing in this a little bit of a different register than I'm used to.
Yeah, a little softer. Like, it's not as there's still the parts where he's kind of like top of his range, kind of like almost cracking, and then there's other times where he's just doing these effortless kind of like da, 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 like kind of falsetto, especially in Game Shark.
Oh yeah, Game Shark is completely different than anything they've ever done. Oh, yeah. It's so upbeat. He's singing in falsetto the whole time. There's a lot of synth and stuff in it. It's very chaotic. That has really good lyrics too.
Yeah.
That's another. It's weird because it's an uplifting song, and they usually don't do uplifting songs. But those three are already out, and the album Near My God comes out on August 10th, this Friday, and I already pre-ordered it. And at 12 o'clock on Friday, my ass is listening to every goddamn song.
There you go. Do you have any other ones you want to talk about?
Small Leaks.
Yeah,
let's talk about Small Leaks.
Yeah.
Small Leaks Sink Ships is a art rock band. Again, I love them, but I'm not like a huge fan. I can't think of any of the names of their albums off the top of my head except for the most recent, which is Golden Calf, which is so good. And each album has like one or two completely instrumental songs, and it's very well written, and it's just some good shit. So that's Small Leaks Sink Ships is the full name of the band.
I can't find them online.
They're from Portland, and they're very unknown.
Oh. Well, that's good that we're talking about it, giving them...
Yeah. I mean, they followed me on Twitter. Like, that's how unknown they are.
Oh, my God. I really like them.
Yeah, they're really good.
Yeah. There's their song Golden Calf. I like a lot of the songs off of that one. I like the song Creepin'. It has this nice kind of weird like organ bit at the beginning. Like,
Creepin' starts off so good.
It's really cool.
Yeah, they have so many like feel good songs. Like I think it's called like Snowball Attack Formation or something. I've yet to show it to you, but it's like it comes in with the piano dun 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 dun, and it makes me so happy the second I hear that. Creepin's the same way.
Yeah.
The second I hear that organ synth come in, I'm like, oh fuck yeah, I'm gonna listen to this song. I'm gonna feel great.
There's like a nice kind of like almost complexity to it as well too. It's like it's simple, like with the ba 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 da, and then like the drums come in and they're kind of like all over the place, like a lot of like rim shots, like
oh yeah, their drummer's great,
like that, and it's very very interesting here. There's almost like a kind of proggy sound to it, and what like on iTunes it was like prog rock, art rock, and I was like, oh okay, I like that. But no, I like them a lot as well. I like Small Leaks and I like Foxing.
Yeah, they both have, and I mean my creme de la creme is punk rock. Like I love that shit. Old school punk rock is what I listened to all the time in high school. So all the stuff that branched off that, like hardcore, whatever art rock, I fucking love it.
Yeah,
and Foxing and Small Leaks both fall into that category. If you're all wondering, my favorite band of all time is Every Time I Die.
Yeah, which we almost saw.
I've seen them like 6 times, so I wasn't too worried about it. And plus, I've heard their new album, and I wasn't fond of it, so I wasn't too butthurt when we didn't see them.
Yeah.
Because I knew they would be playing a lot of their new songs, and they're lazy. Their new songs, they just fit right into the old hardcore like formula, and it's just like
I get that. That's not their last album, but the album that they did before that, I think like 2012, Marillions. Like I said, the one they put in 2012 is okay. Like I listened to it and I'm like, yeah, I could probably listen to this again. But like the latest album, Fear, Fuck Everything and Run is real. Fuck Everyone and Run. Excuse me.
Everyone.
Is really good, and Euan and I saw them in concert do that, and it was excellent.
It was great, except for the fact that they did 2 20-minute encores, and my feet started to hurt, and we almost missed the fucking last train out.
They did
DC.
2 20-minute encores.
They did 2 20-minute encores.
I don't remember how long the first one was, but they played This Strange Engine, which is like 15 minutes long, and they kind of, when a band does stuff live, they kind of like change stuff up and they kind of mess around, and that's what it was like. But it was the best show I've ever seen in my life. Like it's up there among like favorite things I've ever done. And we did not almost miss the last metro.
We almost did, aye.
We got like the second to last one.
No, we got the last train. I'm pretty sure we got the very last train.
But do you have anything else you want to talk about, Liam?
I think I'm tapped out right now.
Okay. Well, we'll move on to Euan, and I've got mine ready. So once Euan's
First
done.
of all, I wish I was able to have met John Wesley at the Fear.
That's what I said. So
we did not have the time.
The guy who opened up for Marillion is a guy called John Wesley, and he's really good.
Fantastic.
Really good guitarist, good singer, and he was playing by himself because he apparently couldn't afford to fly his backing band out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so he was just on stage with a backing track, a guitar, like some pedals, and a microphone, and he was just performing. He was really good. And when we were leaving, I said to you, like, we walked by, and he was signing like his albums, and I was like, "Ewan, why don't you go up and buy one of his albums and ask him to sign it and just pick his ear?"
And I was like,
And-
I'm afraid we're gonna miss the train.
And so he was like, I'm tired, I
I've
want to
been
go
there.
home, and I was like, I get you. So we
Yeah.
left. And it's like one of those things that you look back on, you're like, fuck, like,
Yeah.
I could have, but
and I
it's
also
the way it
think we
happened.
would have had to wait behind the guy and buy one. We had to.
Yeah, we probably would have
bought-
had to wait in line to buy something.
Yeah.
We probably would have missed the train at that
Yeah,
point.
exactly.
But who are your recommendations?
Honestly, as you were talking about last week, Pond are a fucking phenomenal band.
Yeah.
If
If you even want to kind of go into more detail, I only talked really about the weather.
well, honestly, that's the only like really like the album that I've really dived deep into. I've not really listened to Man It Feels Like Space Again. Man It Feels Like Space Again is a good. I heard the song live and it was phenomenal, but I haven't heard much of their studio work. I've only heard a lot of their sort of live stuff from seeing them live and from KEXP.
I've only listened to the weather, Man It Feels Like Space Again, and Psychedelic Mango. And first of all, Psychedelic Mango is just gong.
Yeah,
That's not a negative thing. That's like because David Allen, the lead singer for Gong and songwriter, was Australian, so I can totally imagine them having a big following back home. Even if their music's weird, but
Yeah.
that it was very like it was all the kind of like little voice in the background, and then even like the of like the female singer. That's what she does. Like
Okay, but you just doing it makes me laugh.
yeah, she's like and like they had like that in it, and I'm like, oh my god, this is Gong. Like and just like the shit like Mick Manmoose. It's like Mick Manmoose, and I'm like, yeah, this is Gong.
Is Zond off of that one? Because I know Zond is
Zond
really
is
weird.
off of Man It Feels Like Space Again.
Zond is a weird one. I fucking love Don't Look at the Sun or You Go Blind. When I saw that live, I was in like that was the song that made me go from like, oh, this is like, yeah, this is fun, to like full out Phish mode where I'm just like, nah.
Is that what you do?
That's what you do at Phish
Have you never
shows.
seen like the audience at a Phish show?
You saw me at a concert. I just kind of like sway a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, me too. You
tap
saw
my
me. I was just
foot,
kind
just-
of.
At Chase Fest, I had a girl dancing next to me. She was like, "Oh, come on, you're in the front row. You got to move your arms." And I'm like, "Fuck you, bitch. I'm doing my own thing."
And then you
best
got up on
thing-
stage, so you know.
And then I got up on stage and I was yelling into a
I've
mic.
seen in the audience of a Phish show was a guy who was just like jumping up and down and then just jumped in a fucking circle, like a full 180, just boop 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 boop.
I saw a guy at a Ween concert I went to, and I saw a guy on acid get kicked out because he was like freaking the fuck out.
Aw,
it was
dude,
funny
we've
as
all been
shit.
there.
I was in like 8th grade.
We've
And I'm
all
you
like,
went to
look at
see
that
Ween in
motherfucker.
8th grade.
Yeah, I
That's
loved it.
Fucking crazy, man.
Who would go see Ween on acid though? They're not exactly an acid band.
Have you heard Ween?
They're a little acidy.
Yeah, they are a
They're
little
a little acid.
psychedelic.
They're a little.
I
You
didn't
should
realize
listen
they
to
were
the
psychedelic.
album The Mollusk.
It's such a good album.
Buckingham Green.
That is, they played that song. I screamed, "Play Buckingham Green," like one of those guys, and then they played Buckingham Green, and I was shitting my
That's
pants.
the best moment ever. As I was once at a concert for a guy called Martin Turner for a band called Wishbone Ash. I'm sure I've talked about them on the show. I love Wishbone Ash. And while I was there at the show, my favorite song by Wishbone Ash is a song called FOB, which is an acronym, fucked up beyond belief. It's an instrumental. And so I was, and the bass line's really great, and it's like bomb, 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 bomb. Doodle-a-dit. And I was like sitting there, and Martin Turner's a great bassist, so I was like, play fob, and then he just kind of looked down and went bomb.
Ah,
And I went,
yeah.
like it was great. And then I went up to him afterwards and I was like, "Did you hear me say play fob?" And he was like, "No, I didn't." And I was like, "Oh well, I said play fob." And he was like, "That's a great one." And we started talking about the bass line. Real cool guy. But anyway, what's your other recommendation?
Obviously, since I was talking about them, fucking Phish, who by the time this gets out, I will probably be in the audience of Merriweather Post Pavilion.
There you go.
It will be incredibly fun. I saw Phish in Madison Square Garden. I'm going to.
Would you like to tell the story?
Out.
Because I can't remember if I kept it in, but I hinted at in one of the episodes about the story about the acid.
Should I tell it? Because it's a fantastic story.
If you
and I
want
love
to,
it.
go ahead.
Oh my god, I love this story.
I can't remember right now if I left it in the episode with the Sleepy Time Skyping, the episode 17. But I did, when that recording session happened, say that Euan had a story about acid and a Phish concert, and here he is to tell it to you, because I didn't want to tell it because I was like, I don't know if he wants me to tell it.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I'll ask him if he wants to tell it. Now you can tell it on the show.
It's a phenomenal story. Right. So I went to a Phish show at Madison Square Garden because one of my friends' dads, Phish is his favorite band of all time. Like, fucking the first time I went into his house, like, there were two magnets of Trey's guitar and Mike's bass on the refrigerator, and I was just like, oh, that's Phish. And then as soon as I said, oh, that's Phish, like, his dad's ears perked up, like, oh, he hasn't seen Phish? He hasn't seen Phish?
He just came out of the walls
Exactly.
and was like, you like Phish?
You like Phish? And then he's just like, you know, I like after I left, he went up to my friend. He's just like, you know, I could take him to a Phish show if you want. And he was like, oh yeah, that'd be fun. So then they announced the Baker's Dozen, and I was like, fuck, I'm not gonna be able to go to that. And then my friend was just like, hey, do you want to go?
And Baker's Dozen, what was it, 12 nights?
It was 13 nights at Madison
Baker's
Square
Dozen,
Garden.
yeah.
It wasn't consecutively in a row, but it was a 13-night run. And that is phenomenal because no band has been able to like do 13 nights in a row and not, well, I don't know about that, but no band has played 13 nights in a row at Madison Square Garden and not repeated a single fucking song.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That is,
they do
they
covers
played,
as well sometimes, but
Well,
like
still, that's
Yeah, they played like 254 songs or some shit like that. It's like,
oh my god,
it's like 14 or 15 hours of music. It's crazy. And so I was like, yeah, hell yeah. And then like that week, like on the Monday I saw Queen with Connor.
yeah.
On the Wednesday I saw Phish, and then on the Friday me and Connor went to go see Roger Waters. It was fucking mental.
Did you like how like the accent changed there? Like it was very.
It goes back and forth. It's weird. I don't know. I don't know how it works.
I'm sure when I talk to you, it's a lot stronger, and then when I turn to Liam and I talk, it's like
a little bit
weaker.
watered down. Yeah. And then so on the Wednesday we went to leave for Phish, and then okay, I'm gonna leave that part out because I don't want to reveal my source. But essentially, my friend just goes, "So, is there anything that you want that we haven't got?" And then I was just like, "Well, no, not really." And he's like, "All right." He kind of seemed a little bit disappointed, and he's just like, "Well, so here's the thing. I have acid." And then I was just like, "All right, fuck it, why not?"
All right, let's do it.
I was just like, is there any way I could take a lower dose? And he's like, yeah, of course. So tore up the tab, gave me half, and my other friend got another half. He got the bigger half, and I got the smaller half. And then I immediately went, fuck, I've made a horrible decision. I was just like, shit, I am fucked. There is just like, I am screwed. Like, I can barely handle pot at this point. Like, I am screwed. And then I was just like, I don't know, maybe it'll get better. And then they went on, and I was just like, okay, what the fuck is this? What is going on? Why are there glow sticks? Like, why are people dancing on either end of me? I don't understand this at all. And then they played a song called Maze, and then the fucking chorus is literally, "You'll never get out of this maze. You'll never get out of this maze."
Oh no!
And then I was just like, the first
I'll never
section,
get out of this maze. I'll never get out of this maze.
the first section of the song, it was fine, and then Trey just goes, "Bang, bang, bang, bang," and I'm just like, oh no. And then they sang it one more time, and then like Paige was just, "You'll never get out of this maze. You'll never get out of this maze," and I'm like, oh, I'm fucked. And then the ending is like bop ba da bop bop bop, and I was like, oh, I'm done. I'm just done. And then it got worse and worse, and they played "Waiting All Night," which I was like, fuck, went through a breakup recently. This is not good.
Yeah, those aren't fun.
Yeah, and then that reminded me of that, and I was like, what have I done? Nah. And then they played Heavy Things and Run Like an Antelope, and every time I listened back to Run Like an Antelope, I go, fuck, why were you freaking out? That's a fantastic song. And then I was just, during set break, I was just like, is that it? Is it over? And then my friend's just like, what the fuck are you talking about? That's just the first set. Like, there's a second set after this. Like, oh no, I'm screwed.
Were you like tripping balls at this point?
I literally, like, at one point, I sat down. No, because I was like standing there, and then I was just like, in my head, I just closed my eyes and I just saw this like rotating, like sort of like geometric shape that was going like that in my head, and I was like, oh, what the fuck? And I ended up sitting down, closing my eyes, and then I saw the fucking Dark Side of the Moon logo open up above my head. And in retrospect, thinking about that, that's insane. That is so fucking cool.
Yeah.
But like at the time, I was just like terrified. I didn't know what the fuck was happening to me. And then
Bum 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 ba da 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 da.
No. That comes later.
Oh,
like
okay.
I ended up like being like, oh god, what the fuck am I doing? And then like one of my friend's dad was just like, what's wrong? And then like we explained what happened, and he's just like, you're just nervous. Like you're just anxious. Like there's nothing wrong with you. You're just anxious. And then his friend just goes like, you want a shot of vodka, man? I'm like, fuck no, I can barely handle a pretzel.
Oh,
no. I don't know, I'm freaking out right now. I don't think more stuff to make me freak out would help.
Exactly. So then we got my phone, and then I was just like, all right. I was listening to Moody Blues, and then like, Don't You Feel Small? It Happens to Us All. I was like,
oh no, I know that one.
Yeah.
It's got like, he's singing, don't you feel small, and then the drummer's like, don't you feel small, in your ear, and you're just like, no.
And I like in that moment, I was convinced. I was like, yep, they've taken psychedelics too.
Oh
yeah.
Did I tell you, Justin Hayward was like, I think I was on like a permanent trip from 1966 until about 1987. And I was like, fuck! That's a lot of psychedelics. I was like, that explains Question of a Balance to a T.
And then they like the lights went back out, and I was like, oh fuck, all right, let's just take the headphones off, see what happens. I guess I'm just gonna have to subdue this, go through this. Then, bump. Bump, bump, I was like, holy shit, is this Mike's song? He's like, yeah, fuck yeah, it's Mike's song. I was like, yeah.
Yeah, that's the power of music, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's
even
incredible.
There, because it was peanut butter donut holes, so it had a theme of like holes. Each baker's dozen night had a theme, and then so the theme was donut holes. And then they had like a bunch of songs that had like the word hole in it. And then the encore was A Day in the Life. And then like even during the freaky parts, I was like, fuck yeah, I'm losing my mind, but it's fantastic.
I will never, ever go to a concert and either drink, smoke, or take any kind of drug.
Phish is honestly the only place I could comfortably do that.
Yeah.
See Chase Fest, because everyone was fucked. Everyone was fucked up. Everyone that was on
I just like the adrenaline of the show.
That was great too.
Granted, I was the only sober person there, but
you probably weren't the only sober person.
I might have been.
You might have been, but you probably weren't.
And I mean, I would go, like, I'm going to see Phish sober on the 12th because I'm not fucking driving home sober.
Oh.
No, I'm not driving home.
Excuse you.
I'm not driving home on acid because I'm the one driving home the 12th because it's just me. The
He was
11th.
driving home. Like, there's the Rainbow Road.
Yeah, let's take Rainbow Road. Let's see where this leads.
I see nothing wrong. Oh, there's a cliff. Oop, I slid off.
God.
I went to go make the turn and I fell off. Where's Lakita? No, I'm still falling. Oh no. This isn't a trip.
Oh my god, that's fantastic.
So, what's your last band?
But this is gonna be a letdown now.
I mean, if it's who I think it is, then
Hang on. One more story that I would like to share from two stories. One's really short.
Okay.
One one of my favorite things was he came up an escalator, and then they turn the escalators off because they don't want like stone people falling down like a moving fucking escalator. So then we were walking up this escalator, and then this guy just turns the corner, stops in his tracks, and just goes, "Whoa!"
I've seen shit like that.
And then we just burst into laughter. He just goes, "The fucking trivia shit I've seen all night, man."
There was a guy like that at Chase Fest, the dude in the blue shirt who just kept tripping. The guy that tripped
yeah,
over the fucking amp.
He fell over the amp and he was just like, man, ain't came out of nowhere. It was a bitch. And I was like, you need help? And he just kind of got up and he just looked at it and he was like,
Yeah, I helped him up and he was like, thanks, man.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, just go get
That
some
guy
fucking
is
water.
gone. That guy is gone.
Yeah.
And then the last one was this kid in line. My friend had bought drumsticks, and they were like, "You got to check it at the door." And we are like, "All right, that's fine." And then before we left, I was like, "Dude, your drumsticks." He's like, "All right, yeah, thanks, good call." So we got in line.
close
and
to
then
your mic a little bit. You're a little quiet.
this kid just goes like, "Hey man, you getting your guitar?" I'm like, "No," but he's getting his drumsticks, and he's like, "Oh yeah, okay. I love your hair. What do you use, man?" And then his mother starts talking to me, who I'm convinced is German because she has this like sort of German accent. It's like, okay, this is weird. And then she just starts talking about, she's like, "Oh yeah, you should go to the Lock-In Festival. It's a great festival." I was like, all right. And then this kid just goes, "But seriously, man, I love your hair. What do you use?" And then she just says, out of doubt in her mind, just straight face, just goes, "Drugs, honey. Lots and lots of drugs."
I've never heard that story.
That's funny as
That
shit.
is so funny.
And at the time, I was just like, drugs, lots and lots of drugs. And when I was sober, I was like, "Oh my god, that's fantastic.
That's hilarious.
That's a fantastic
oh my
story."
God.
Oh no.
All right. So, do you have a third band? Or?
The third and final band that I'm gonna I don't know. I might talk about. I've been listening to a lot of like psychedelic rock and pop. So the main band is like King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard.
There it is.
Yeah.
The fantastic band, absolutely great. And when I first heard them, I was just like, they're kind of. And then one day I had one of their songs stuck in my head at work, and I was like, yeah, that's pretty good.
Was it in my
No, it was. Have you heard Rattlesnake yet?
No, I'm
Rattlesnake. That's off of their album "Flying Microtona Banana."
No. Flying. I said frying. Flying microtonal banana.
And essentially, they released 5 albums last year. That's how fucking insane they are. They.
I mean, that's nothing on Buckethead, who does like 50 a year.
Well, see, the thing with Buckethead though is that all of the last albums that the last 100 albums that he's released have been like albums that don't even break 40 minutes, and they're basically jam track. They're like basically him jamming to a backing track.
I hate to be a fan of a band like that.
Yeah.
And just like with me with Foxing, where I'm like, oh shit, it's been 2 years, they're releasing an album, I'm pre-ordering this and shit. Being the guy that's like, oh shit, it's been 3 weeks, I need to pre-order this, and listening to Buckethead, spending so much money.
Yeah.
It's like
I'm sure probably a lot of it's like just free shit that he puts out.
Probably. I think
hope.
it's all digital, so like
so
it's
then, yeah,
digitally
probably.
released, so it's a lot better than just like, oh well, there's 256 physical copies
buy
of
our
Buckethead.
album so it charts in the Billboard Hot 100, 200, whatever the fuck ever. I don't care.
Man. King Gizzard are fantastic. You really like I'm in Your Mind Fuzz.
Yeah, I'm in Your Mind Fuzz is my favorite album by them I've heard so far. I like Nonagon Infinity, but there's like, I think it's because it like kind of it segues each track. There's like this almost like everything sounds like the same key and the same like stuff and like the same bass sound.
I don't really
drums.
know about that. The thing about Nonagon is Infinity is that is a never-ending album. Each track segues.
He was
into
telling
one
me
another.
about that, yeah.
And then the last track brings you back around. But it's an interesting album because it does that as well as just I don't know. I get what you're saying though. There are kind of some tracks where you're just like, this is a bit samey.
I like Mr. Beat.
I found a Mr.
Once I missed
that's a
beat,
good song.
only Mr. Beat.
I still love
Mr. Beat.
Gamma Knife and
Gamma Knife's
People Vultures got approaches final hearing. What else have I got to put it down?
Yeah, I like that one. But I think I'm in Your Mind Fuzz is the one that it's the one I've listened to the most.
It's
I think
the
it's
one I've
that I
listened
can
to the most as well.
listen to like just kind of let play and just enjoy everything.
Yeah,
There's a couple of tracks that like I think it's Hot Water and Empty. I can kind of like skip, but like Am I in Heaven is my favorite track.
Oh, brilliant.
Got years in my brain at the end of the
There's
world.
also
I love how much you guys sing.
What's their second?
Just singing back and forth at each other.
It's their dad's fault,
there's a
right?
third album that they've got, and it's a picture. Fuck, what is it? What is it called? Their third album is absolutely fantastic as well. That was their first psychedelic rock album. They've got some really weird albums. 12 Bar
Was
Blues.
it Quarters?
No.
Quarters is. I like the song River. The River off of that.
River off of Quarters is fantastic.
That's gonna segue. That's gonna help segue into my recommendations.
Ooh. 12 Bar Brews is their first album. Eyes Like the Sky.
12 Bar Brews.
Yeah, 12 Bar Brews is kind of like a garage rock album.
Oh, okay,
It's funny because the title track it was recorded on solely iPhones.
that's funny.
It is really funny. It's really weird. Eyes Like the Sky is like a kind of a fucking like a western kind of thing with a sort of concept album. Float Along, Fill Your Lungs. Yeah, Float Along, Fill Your Lungs is a fantastic album. And that was their first real psychedelic album. And like Head on Pill is 15 minutes long and it's glorious.
Well, we're at an hour now, so I'm just going to give mine, and then we can like start wrapping up.
All right.
So I've got two I'm going to talk about this week. One is not a newer. Neither of them are newer bands; they're like older bands. One is one that I'm just sick of people not listening to. Fucking everybody, go out and listen to Gentle Giant. Fuck's sakes.
Lame.
Gentle Giant are this English progressive rock band. They were right. So like, prog rock has like a couple like different like eras. So like it has like the early psych and then turning into like early prog like symphonic rock in like the 60s. Then in the 70s you got like actual like what everybody thinks of prog rock, like that kind of Pink Floyd, Rush, Genesis, like stuff like that.
The drummer also pulls fantastic faces live.
Of King Gizzard.
So, no.
Of Gentle Giant. Gentle
yeah.
Giant. I was about to say that's funny because so does Gentle Giants. John Weathers, I love him. He's a great drummer, and he just looks weird. If you ever wanna, there's a song. One of the most famous songs is a song called "Proclamation," and there's a live version you can find on YouTube. It's not a great live performance. Like the vocals are a little pitchy, and like I don't know, it's like recorded for TV. But the drummer is a fucking card. Like he's pulling all these crazy faces when he's drumming, and like times he looks like he almost climaxes. Yeah,
It does. It really does.
because like there's a part where it's like bom ba-da-nan, and he's doing that, and he's like so like his face is like, but Gentle Giant's great, and their first album came out in 1970. It was just called Gentle Giant, and they were more of like a blues kind of rock band when they started.
Especially the guitar player.
Yeah, the guitar player Gary Green is a great guitarist. I always liked his name because his name plus the band name was Green Giant, or Gentle Green Giant. But he was very bluesy. He was a blues player before he joined the band. But everyone else had like classical roots because, and I remember reading an interview with the guitarist, and he was like, yeah, and it was funny. He said because in Britain at the time, he said you were either blues man or you were a jazz man. So you either had like jazz playing that's how you learned how to play your instrument. So you played through jazz and then you can experiment from there, or you were blues. It was like, and guitarists were usually blues. He said, and you know, they wanted to do blues rock bands like Cream and stuff. And he said, if you're jazz, you want to often do prog. He's like, so I just joined because I could play stuff, and they were like, Gary, play some blues, and I'd be like, meow, dee, dee, dee. So that's very interesting. But the rest of them are all classically trained. So the bassist could play violin, the keyboardist could play like xylophone, classical piano, cello. They all could play recorders, which was weird because I don't know if I showed you the live version of the Advent of Panurge.
No, I don't
where
think so.
where they just stop in the middle, the drummer keeps going and the bassist goes, and they just all pull out like recorders, like and I'm like, okay. I've never seen I've never seen people jam that hard while playing like a recorder. It's great. They're just like, and it's just weird to watch.
No,
and
we
then
watched that one chick jam on the recorder at that smooth jazz concert.
Smooth.
oh my god,
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry,
that was-
Tim.
that was weird.
That's run by my guitar teacher as well.
Yeah,
so,
I remember I was
like-
telling everybody, I was like, God, that's Euan's guitar teacher.
I was in that once, and I was probably just as bad.
I mean, everyone
I'm a
was
fucking
great.
awful
Just-
jazz
just that
musician.
girl.
Everyone
Just
was
one
great.
woman.
Just that old lady was so, and her singing was
Not the best.
not the best either.
Like they were like, she's an excellent jazz singer, and I was like,
And we're like,
oh.
all right, cool. Let's hear this.
Well, no, I've heard some jazz singers, and I've been like, ooh, and then like I heard her, and I was like, ooh, oh no. But you know, good for her for getting out there. And if she spoke, she was just like,
Yeah.
we were like, ah. But Gentle Giant are great, and they have a couple of really good albums. Their debut is really cool. It's got a lot of tracks I like on there. Their song Nothing at All has this big, great drum solo in it, and their song Why Not's one of my like favorite songs ever. Like, it's just so good. And if you can, try and find like Steven Wilson's remasters of them.
Lame.
Because he gets the fucking master tracks. He takes out like the hissing off of the like tapes, and it's fucking crystal clear. I'll show you afterwards like the difference between like the regular version and his remaster. Like, it's so much clearer.
But Steven Wilson's a fucking
I like
awful
Steven
musician.
Wilson. Leave him alone.
My issue with Steven Wilson is that he goes around going like, everyone should be taking more risks and like creating more experimental music, and then last year he releases a fucking prog pop album.
And
that's
it's
just
good.
but it's an ode to like a previous genre.
It's an ode, but it doesn't sound.
but no,
like
but
them.
that's the thing. It's
doesn't
like,
sound
you
like
can't
talk
criticize
and,
like you can't go
Peter
around
Gabriel.
criticizing people like, oh, you're not being experimental enough, and then release an album where you're not experimenting.
Everybody is experimenting. There's a fucking jazz, like avant-garde jazz guitar solo in like the second to last track or the last track.
I don't know if I
Detonation.
got that far. I think I gave up like halfway through the album. I didn't like it. It was fucking just
like we did with 8th grade.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I was about to give him shit, and I was like,
exactly. You
We
can't
do that
give me
all the
shit
time.
for-
Yeah.
You can't give me shit for that, and then just be like, oh, we didn't sit through the whole thing of 8th grade.
Anyway, fucking Gentle Giant's debut album's good. Their second album, Acquiring Taste, is pretty good. But then their album, they had an EP called Three Friends, which was pretty good too. That was where they had a different drummer. Then their album Octopus came out, I think it's 73 or 74. And that's a very famous one. That's what kind of made people go like, oh, I know, Gentle Giant, yeah, the one with the octopus on the album cover, which was drawn by an artist who does artwork for a lot of bands I love called Roger Dean. He's done album covers for Yes. He's done album covers for fucking Nazareth. He's done album covers for Rick Wakeman. He's done album covers for lots of musicians, and like you can just look up his stuff, and it's like almost all of it's like prog rock, but like it's very cool to, and it has artworks and like awesome, like the cover for Relayer, the cover for Tales of Topographic Oceans. I think that's my background on my computer. Actually, no, it's not. It's Dark Side.
Well, because Dark Side's a fantastic
but
album.
like it's he draws such nice
not the
artwork.
best Pink Floyd album though.
No, the
Yeah.
best is Wish You Were Here. But the album's really good. It's got some really dark stuff, some very experimental stuff. Like they did a lot with vocal harmony, odd vocal harmonies, and that was very cool. And they have the classical influences, like jazzy influences, and a lot of blues influences with Gary Green and stuff like that. And they have the song called River off of that album, which reminds me a little tiny wee bit of the King Gizzard song, because they have the same name, and because like there's like the kind of like weird kind of beat to it. It's like yeah,
that kind of like,
and that kind of long kind of proggy jam.
And it's very, very jazzy as well, yeah.
And this is a very like kind of kind of proggy song. It's great. There's a violin. Is there a violin? Yeah, there's a violin in it. I thought it was a violin solo. It's a guitar solo, but like there's a violin. The bassist plays violin. There's lots of weird kind of instrumentation in it. It's very like out there at times. But Octopus is a great album. Power and the Glory is a really good album as a song proclamation. You may not have all you want, all you need. Which is the fun song. It's also got another couple of good tracks on there. It's track Aspirations is really beautiful. Danny on Game Grumps is a huge fan of that song. He's a huge fan of
Gentle Giant.
Gentle Giant.
Really, that's funny.
Because he's like, yeah,
them, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Wishbone Ash,
Radiohead. He's talked about lots of bands.
He's been at Phish on mushrooms, so we have that in common.
Yeah, there you go.
You're on acid. It's different.
Yeah.
Well,
It's as someone that has partaken in the mushrooms and talked to people that have partaken in the acid, it's two totally different things.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of worried about, because that's what I'm hoping to get for this show.
Yeah.
This coming up show.
Yeah, the shrooms are milder.
Yeah.
I think Hunter S. Thompson had a quote.
Hunter S. Thompson's fucking mental when it comes to
my God, yes.
drugs.
He is a mental person, and
well, he wasn't.
Didn't he try and kill Bill Murray? Didn't he like try and like
probably?
Yeah.
Probably.
But he was like, it was funny because they were like friends, and then apparently like they were at a pool one day and like he almost accidentally drowned Bill Murray.
Fuck.
Well, he almost drowned Bill Murray, and Bill Murray's still not convinced it wasn't an accident.
Yeah, but he has
Convinced it was an accident. Excuse me.
he has this quote that mushrooms alter reality while mushrooms distort reality while acid alters it. So like, because I've done shrooms and all it was like that cool poster you have just starts to wave a little bit and like stuff kind of like pulses. When from what I hear with acid, like you said, your imagination becomes fucking real and you see stuff.
I wasn't seeing stuff. What I was doing was like I would see something. The visual things that I would have was like, what was that? This? And it's like, oh no, it's just that. But like my fucking imagination was crazy, man.
Yeah.
It was insane.
I'm gonna finish up with Gentle Giant, and Peter Banks is the other one, and then we can just kind of talk for a little bit, and then we'll be done. So Gentle Giant also has another good album called Freehand, which is probably one of my favorites by them. It's got my favorite song by them, which is called Just the Same, which just has this really nice like piano intro with this nice kind of like counter melody played by like the electric guitar, and it just all fits together really nice. And then the rest of the song is good too, but that just one riff is just like, yeah, it's awesome. My other recommendation is so I talked about Yes with Roger Dean doing the covers for them. Now a lot of people know the lineup, the one of two lineups, and that would be John Anderson vocals, Chris Squire on bass, Rick Wakeman on keyboards, Steve Howe on guitar, and either Bill Bruford on drums in one of the lineups or Alan White on drums in the other lineup. Those are two like the classic ones. Bill Bruford's the best drummer that has ever had and will ever had, but you know, fine.
He's in basically every prog rock band.
Yeah, every prog rock band's got some tie to Bill Bruford, or even King Crimson. If you want to play like, was it 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon or whatever, the game where you try and link everything to Kevin Bacon, you can do that with King Crimson.
Probably.
Or Robert Fripp.
I don't know about that.
Yes, you can. Absolutely, you can.
It takes two to get it to Phish, because Trey really loves, apparently really loves Robert Fripp.
Yeah, so like, and then you can even do people who might not have even worked with him. You could be like, Dave.
Madonna.
So let's see. Sid Barrett was the original member of Pink Floyd. and he was replaced by David Gilmour, who was friends with David Bowie, and did that live performance where they did Arnold Lane together, because David Bowie is also a huge fan of Syd Barrett, and David Bowie worked with Brian Eno and Robert Fripp in the 70s and 80s. But so the original lineup of Yes actually wasn't Steve Howe on guitar, even though he's the most iconic guitarist. He's still with them today. Like, you left for a little bit. What the fuck are you doing?
Readjusting myself.
Okay.
Nice.
But the original
Live on
lineup
air.
was John Anderson on vocals, Chris Squire on bass, Bill Bruford on drums, and then Tony Kaye on keyboards, and a guy called Peter Banks on guitar. Now, Peter Banks only did the first 2 albums with them. Tony Kaye stuck around for another album after that, and then he returned in the 80s. But Peter Banks was fired from Yes because some kind of he wasn't a huge fan of touring or something like that. But their management was like, either he leaves or you guys are done. And so they were like, you got to leave, Pete. And so he left. But he was a very interesting musician. And in fact, the first episode I ever did of You'll Like Him, I actually talked about his other band, Flash, on the show, which was I called it Yes Light, because it's very much Yes, but not, because, it's not John Anderson, it's not Bill Bruford, it's not Chris Squire, but it's got the original guitarist for Yes. And I'm really not sure if Steve Howe just happened to be a very similar sounding guitarist, but with a lot more versatility, or if he heard Peter Banks in Yes and was like, oh, I could probably do stuff like this, like that kind of harsh guitar, bam, 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 that he can do on his guitar.
Ba-da-ba-bum.
Yeah.
Ba-da-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-da-da. Bum,
Da, 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 da. They played that at Chase Fest. I took a second. I was like,
Oh
what?
my god, what?
They played it for 10 minutes.
They
too.
played it for a while. They kept
Jamming on
loop.
it? That's
they kept.
fantastic.
I think someone did go up and jam to it at one point, which was funny. So Peter Banks is very much like Steve Howe in his playing, except he's more rock and kind of experimental than Steve Howe was. He did some rock and rockabilly and flamenco and classical and jazz and all sorts of things. But Peter Banks is very interesting. I want to talk about his album. He did an album in the 70s. I don't remember when exactly it came out. I can find it. Maybe it'll tell you. 73. Called The Two Sides of Peter Banks. And essentially this was just a who's who in prog rock. So Peter Banks was I'm going to make this album. And he got Phil Collins, John Wetton, Jan Ackerman from Focus, some musicians from Flash, and all these other musicians, and Jen just kind of was
Flash.
Steve Hackett from Genesis. He got Steve Hackett from Genesis to come as well, and so all these musicians, and I'm like, what a poor guy, right? To have all these really successful friends, and then be in this band and kind of have some success, leave the band, and then it becomes
Huge.
big.
Yeah.
And then try and make your own stuff, and no one cares, and everyone's just kind of it's just that guy who was in Yes for 5 minutes. And he's a very talented guitarist. He's a very seems like a very nice guy when stuff I read about him, and it just seems like a big unfair he got the shaft and all of it. There's all these other people who are being successful, and Peter Banks fucking died, and no one a couple years ago, and no one gave a shit, and I felt awful because I was this guy started one of my favorite bands of all time, and no one knows him, no one gives a shit about him, and he's a good musician, and I think he deserves some credit. So I just want to talk about Peter Banks. People should listen to the album The Two Sides of Peter Banks. It's prog rock, so it's a little all over the place at times, but it's got some really good musicians on it. It's got John Wetton, who's one of my favorite bassists and singers, Phil Collins, who was a phenomenal drummer at one point. Then he just stopped playing drums because he realized that people thought he was a good singer. So, and then it has all these good musicians, and I'm just this guy deserves so much more than what he actually got. And I think people should go listen to Peter Banks and give him a chance. And if you don't like him, that's fine. But he's an interesting guy, and I just feel bad for him, and that he didn't get the credit he deserved. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So those are my recommendations. Do you guys have anything else you want to talk about before we go?
Eggs.
What?
You ever seen that?
It's a guy from King Gizzard and the Wizard Lizard.
There's an
Lizard
interview
Wizard.
he did where essentially they were just asking him random shit, and one of them was, what is your secret recipe? He's just like, I don't know, I don't really tend to cook much. And he's like, but I do like cooking breakfast, eggs. And then, like, that just became a massive fucking meme among the King Gizzard, fan base. It was so big that I was at a pawn show, and then there were two guys behind me who were talking about King Gizzard, and then all of a sudden they were just talking about that, and then I just looked up, said eggs, and then just looked back down, and I never said a fucking word to them. Never said a single other word to them other than eggs.
So, do you guys have anything else you want to talk about?
I guess I'll do a plug real quick. You can listen to me on Friends by Default, which is on iTunes, Libsyn, and YouTube. Foxing has a show. Right now they're in England, but they have a show coming up for our followers or your guys' followers in the Maryland area in D.C. on September 7th.
Yeah.
Which is awesome, and I'm going to be there.
Yeah, I'm trying to be there too.
I'm going to be there. And also after today and doing 2 podcasts in a day and like talking and trying to figure stuff out with Brooks and everything, since Brooks is taking a different direction or thinking about taking a different direction, I'm going to restart up the Lamb the Liam podcast.
Yay!
So, and I think what I'm going to be doing on that is just kind of like Mark Maron's thing, except I'm just going to do an interview the whole time, and it's not so much going to be an interview as me bullshitting with my friends.
Yeah.
So look out for that.
Yay! I'm looking forward to that.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So we'll give plugs. Liam did his plugs for Friends by Default. You can find us on SoundCloud and Libsyn right now. I'm probably going to get rid of the SoundCloud account. Will probably get closed in September when the membership runs out. But we have Libsyn right now, and you can find all our stuff is up on there. You'll Like 'Em. With Conor and Josh's You'll Like 'Em podcast. I might change the name just to You'll Like 'Em. It's because that's less fucking awkward to like speak. Conor and Josh's You'll Like 'Em podcast. You'll like 'em. But you can find us on there. You'll Like 'Em. You can find us on iTunes. Conor and Josh's You'll Like 'Em podcast. You can find us on Facebook. Conor and Josh's You'll Like 'Em podcast. You can find us on Twitter at You'll Like 'Em pod. All one word. No capitalization, punctuation, none of that shit. And I'm on Twitter at Connor the Harris. Yaskovich is at JBY Films or JB.
I don't fucking
Films,
know.
something like JB Yaskovich Films. So, do you have any social media, Euan?
I have fuck all to plug. Other than like, if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's like that bowler hat guy _75 something or other.
Would you like to tell us why you're that bowler hat guy?
Because I'm a fucking twat who wears a bowler hat from time to time. I've honestly considered changing it to something I like.
Well, I used
more.
to be at Keith Moon is God on Twitter because that was my whole thing for high school.
Yeah.
You need something that like rolls off the tongue. Like I have Lamb the Liam.
Yeah.
You can find me anywhere on under Lamb the Liam.
Yeah,
by the way,
I like Connor the Harris. That's one I've been doing for
Connor
a
the
couple
Harris.
years. Yeah,
I
Connor the
want to
Harris.
change it to wasting.
But it's like Connor no middle Connor middle name here Harris. That's what it is. Like
Yeah.
the full name on Facebook. But
I keep
tag
wanting
is
to
at
change it
Conor
to
Harris.
wasting away 8217 because that's a lot better. And
was that when you saw them? 8217.
8217 was when I saw Phish, and waste is a Phish
Yeah,
song.
yeah.
So wasting away 8217. That's what I want to change it to. But
Well, maybe by the time this comes up, it will be changed. To that.
maybe I'll see what they can do. I also have a SoundCloud Euan Harris, which I plan on releasing music at, but we'll see how
You'll
that goes.
none of you are allowed to find my SoundCloud page.
oh, I'm gonna look.
You're not finding it.
Hey, Euan. I always say your name weird. I don't know. I do. It just comes out of my mouth weird. If you ever need a singer, hit up a brother.
Hey, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Because I really want to sing for something.
Yeah, I told you Liam wanted to make a band. But
it would be fun.
His brother was the one that was kind of like, nah.
It would genuinely be fun.
I think if we all kind of came and like ambushed him and we're like, we want to
Fucking do it.
Come play keyboards for us. Then I think maybe he'd join. But
But the three of you got college, and I've got fuck all to do.
well,
We'll work around it. We'll find a way.
Yeah, we'll find something.
So thank you everybody for listening. Check out our show. Sorry about the big fucking gap in between shows.
And me
It's just-
yelling constantly through this podcast.
It's fine. We've all been yelling. No one cares.
I haven't. Don't pin that shit on me.
Ewan and I have been yelling. So
Absolutely, I've been yelling.
well, I mean, have you listened to the podcast when Yaskovich is on?
I can imagine. He yells on our podcast. We have to shut him up.
I yelled on Friends by Default today. I was like, "Good night, ladies and gentlemen."
Eggs.
And on that note, thank you everybody for listening. Have a good one, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Peace.
You want me to say something?
If you wanted to.
Oh, bye.
Bye.